Mm. Woof woof.
Sydney Sweeney's new Euphoria scene sparks massive backlash. The internet moves fast. But every once in a while, a single television scene detonates online so aggressively that it stops the scroll completely. Millions of viewers pause. Clips spread across TikTok, X, YouTube Shorts, Reddit, Instagram Reels. Headlines explode. Think pieces appear within hours. Fans begin fighting in comment sections. Critics accuse Hollywood of crossing another line. Supporters defend artistic freedom. And suddenly, what began as one dramatic moment inside a fictional television series transforms into a full-scale cultural war. That is exactly what happened after a newly discussed scene involving Sydney Sweeney and the HBO series Euphoria triggered an avalanche of online backlash, debate, outrage, and speculation across the United States. Tonight, we're taking you deep inside the controversy that has divided audiences, reignited criticism about Hollywood's treatment of young actresses, and raised uncomfortable questions about fame, exploitation, streaming culture, and the business model of shock television itself. Because this story is no longer just about one actress or even one TV show. It is about the modern entertainment machine. It is about what audiences reward. It is about how social media transforms controversy into profit. And it is about why America cannot seem to look away from Euphoria, even while millions claim they are disgusted by it. For viewers who may not fully understand why this controversy exploded so quickly, it is important to step back and understand what Euphoria actually became in the American entertainment landscape over the last several years. When HBO first launched the series, it was immediately positioned as edgy, provocative, visually hypnotic, emotionally raw television aimed at capturing the chaos of modern youth culture. The show, led by Zendaya, quickly separated itself from traditional teen dramas by embracing graphic storytelling, stylized cinematography, explicit themes, addiction narratives, mental health struggles, sexuality, and social alienation in ways that mainstream television rarely attempted at this scale. Almost overnight, Euphoria became more than just a television series. It became an internet ecosystem. Fashion trends exploded because of the show. Makeup tutorials inspired by the series flooded YouTube and TikTok. Dialogue clips became memes. Fan edits generated hundreds of millions of views. Cast members turned into global stars at extraordinary speed. And perhaps no breakout performer benefited more dramatically from that visibility than Sydney Sweeney. Before Euphoria, Sweeney was already a working actress with growing recognition in Hollywood circles. But after portraying Cassie Howard, a vulnerable, emotionally unstable teenager desperate for love and validation, her fame escalated into another dimension entirely. Suddenly, she was everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, luxury fashion campaigns, major film roles, viral interviews, internet discourse dissecting everything from her acting talent to her appearance to her off-screen personality. And with that level of fame came another reality that has become increasingly common in modern celebrity culture: hyperscrutiny. Every scene becomes analyzed. Every interview becomes dissected. Every wardrobe choice becomes politicized. Every controversy becomes amplified. That environment created the perfect conditions for backlash once reports and online reactions surrounding the latest Euphoria-related scene began spreading. Now, it is important to clarify something immediately. Much of the outrage online has been fueled not only by the actual content viewers saw, but by fragmented clips, screenshots, out-of-context social media commentary, reposted reactions, and emotionally charged interpretations circulating across platforms. As is often the case in viral internet controversies, the speed of outrage has moved faster than nuance. But regardless of context, the backlash became massive. Some viewers accused the series of relying too heavily on explicit material for attention. Others argued Hollywood continues placing young actresses in situations that prioritize shock value over storytelling depth. Critics questioned whether the entertainment industry has learned anything from past conversations about exploitation and objectification. Supporters of the show countered that Euphoria has always been intentionally provocative and that audiences understand exactly what kind of series they are watching. The result was a digital firestorm. And once that fire started, social media algorithms did the rest. On TikTok, reaction videos flooded feeds within hours. On X, hashtags connected to Sydney Sweeney and Euphoria began trending nationally. Reddit discussion threads expanded into thousands of comments. YouTube creators rushed to produce breakdown videos analyzing every frame, every rumored production detail, every cast interview, and every public reaction. The modern outrage economy had officially activated. But here is where this story becomes far more complicated than a simple online controversy. Because beneath the surface-level arguments about television content exists a much deeper American conversation about celebrity culture, gender politics, artistic freedom, internet morality, and the psychological relationship audiences now have with entertainment. To understand why the backlash intensified so aggressively, you have to understand the unusual position Sydney Sweeney occupies in today's cultural landscape. Unlike many celebrities who maintain carefully controlled public images, Sweeney has become a uniquely polarizing figure online. Some audiences view her as one of the most talented actresses of her generation, capable of balancing vulnerability, emotional chaos, and raw realism in ways many performers struggle to achieve. Others reduce discussions about her almost entirely to appearance, glamour, and internet obsession surrounding her image. That split has created a bizarre phenomenon where conversations about her often stop being about acting entirely. And that context matters enormously here. Because the reaction to this latest Euphoria scene was not created in isolation. It collided with years of pre-existing tension surrounding the show itself and the actress at the center of the storm. Euphoria has faced criticism before. Repeatedly. Mental health experts have questioned whether the series glamorizes destructive behavior. Parents groups have argued the content pushes boundaries irresponsibly. Television critics have debated whether the explicit imagery serves meaningful narrative purposes or simply functions as visual escalation designed to dominate online conversation. At the same time, defenders of the show argue that discomfort is precisely the point. They say Euphoria reflects emotional realities many young Americans actually experience: addiction, loneliness, insecurity, hypersexualization, depression, social media pressure, and identity confusion. They argue sanitized portrayals would feel dishonest. They view the controversy itself as evidence that the series successfully forces audiences to confront uncomfortable truths. And so every season, every episode, every major scene becomes another referendum on the limits of television storytelling in the streaming era. But this latest backlash arrived at a particularly volatile moment in American entertainment culture. Across Hollywood, there has been increasing public discussion about performer protections, intimacy coordination, consent standards on set, mental health support for actors, and the long-term consequences of hypersexualized media environments. After years of industry scandals and public reckonings, audiences have become far more sensitive to questions surrounding exploitation and power dynamics. That sensitivity now shapes how viewers interpret controversial scenes. Even if a production follows professional standards internally, public perception can still spiral rapidly once social media enters the equation. And in this case, perception became reality online almost instantly. Some critics claimed the scene represented another example of television pushing boundaries purely to maintain relevance in an increasingly competitive streaming environment. Others accused audiences themselves of hypocrisy, arguing viewers condemn explicit content publicly while simultaneously driving massive engagement around it privately. That contradiction sits at the heart of the Euphoria phenomenon. People criticize it relentlessly, but they also cannot stop watching it. And from a business perspective, controversy has repeatedly worked in the show's favor. Every backlash cycle generates more visibility. Every viral argument increases audience curiosity. Every headline fuels streaming attention. In the digital media economy, outrage itself often becomes marketing. That reality has transformed modern entertainment incentives in profound ways. Television executives understand that emotional reactions drive engagement more effectively than neutrality. Social platforms reward conflict. Algorithms prioritize emotionally charged content. News coverage intensifies visibility. Fan communities amplify polarization. The louder the controversy becomes, the larger the audience grows. And that creates an uncomfortable question many critics are now asking. Has the entertainment industry become financially dependent on outrage itself? Because when backlash consistently produces attention, and attention produces revenue, controversy stops being a risk. It becomes strategy. Now, to be clear, there is no verified evidence suggesting this particular Euphoria moment was engineered solely for controversy. Creative decisions inside television productions involve writers, directors, producers, performers, network executives, and broader storytelling goals. Artistic intent matters. But public skepticism exists because audiences increasingly recognize how modern media systems operate. Shock travels faster than subtlety. Conflict spreads faster than nuance. Outrage monetizes faster than reflection. And nowhere is that more visible than YouTube and TikTok culture surrounding television discourse. Within hours of the backlash emerging, creators began publishing emotionally charged thumbnails, exaggerated reaction titles, speculative breakdowns, and inflammatory commentary designed to maximize clicks. Some videos framed the controversy as evidence of Hollywood collapse. Others accused critics of censorship. Many amplified rumors before verification occurred. This cycle repeats constantly in digital culture. Emotion first, facts later. And often, by the time accurate context emerges, the narrative has already solidified in the public imagination. That dynamic places enormous pressure on celebrities caught in the middle of viral controversies. For Sydney Sweeney specifically, this situation reflects the complicated burden of modern fame. Actors today are no longer judged solely by performances. They are expected to navigate non-stop online discourse, parasocial fan culture, algorithmic outrage, political polarization, and invasive internet commentary simultaneously. Every reaction becomes content. Every silence becomes interpreted. Every statement becomes weaponized. If celebrities defend themselves, critics accuse them of damage control. If they remain silent, critics accuse them of avoidance. If they joke about controversy, people say they are insensitive. If they appear emotional, people question authenticity. It becomes an impossible balancing act. And that pressure intensifies dramatically for women in Hollywood. Historically, female performers have often faced disproportionate scrutiny surrounding sexuality, body image, aging, career choices, and public perception. In the social media era, those pressures have multiplied exponentially because commentary now operates 24 hours a day across countless platforms. Many observers argue the conversation surrounding Sydney Sweeney reveals deeper societal contradictions. Audiences consume entertainment built around glamour and sexuality while simultaneously. For years, major platforms competed aggressively for subscriber attention by pushing boundaries further and further. Violence intensified. Sexual content intensified. Psychological intensity intensified. Prestige television increasingly marketed itself around shock value and emotional extremity. Some media analysts now believe audiences may be reaching saturation. The backlash toward Euphoria could represent part of a broader cultural shift in which viewers begin questioning whether constant escalation actually improves storytelling or simply numbs audiences over time. At the same moment, however, supporters argue criticism of Euphoria frequently becomes selective and unfair. They point out that graphic violence in entertainment historically receives far less outrage than sexuality. They argue female-centered stories often attract disproportionate moral panic compared to male-driven narratives. They believe critics frequently misunderstand the show's intention to portray emotional damage rather than celebrate it. That divide explains why online discourse became so ferocious. People are not merely debating a scene. They are debating values. What should television portray? What responsibilities do creators have? Where is the line between art and exploitation? Who decides that line? And perhaps most importantly in today's America, should anyone decide at all? As the controversy spread, media outlets across the political spectrum interpreted the backlash differently. Some conservative commentators framed the moment as evidence of moral decline inside Hollywood. Progressive commentators focused more heavily on performer treatment, gender expectations, and internet misogyny. Entertainment journalists analyzed the marketing dynamics behind controversy-driven television. Social critics discussed algorithm culture and attention economics. In other words, the same scene became multiple completely different stories depending on who was telling it. That fragmentation reflects a broader transformation in American media itself. There is no longer one national conversation. There are thousands of overlapping digital conversations happening simultaneously, and each audience interprets controversy through its own ideological lens. Meanwhile, ordinary viewers often feel trapped between extremes. Many people simply enjoy dramatic television without wanting every entertainment debate transformed into a national cultural war. Others genuinely feel conflicted, appreciating artistic freedom while also questioning where boundaries should exist. That emotional ambiguity rarely trends online because algorithms reward certainty and outrage more than nuance. But in reality, many Americans exist somewhere in the middle. They are curious, uneasy, fascinated, conflicted, and that emotional complexity may explain why Euphoria remains so culturally dominant despite relentless controversy. Because whether people love it or hate it, they feel something intensely when they watch it. And in today's fragmented entertainment landscape, emotional intensity is incredibly powerful. Now, looking forward, the implications of this backlash could stretch far beyond one actress or one television series. Hollywood executives monitor public reaction constantly. Streaming platforms analyze engagement data obsessively. Advertisers evaluate reputational risk carefully. Talent agencies pay close attention to public sentiment around rising stars. If controversies repeatedly generate attention and profits, studios may continue embracing provocative content strategies. But if backlash begins damaging audience trust or creating broader fatigue, the industry could gradually shift toward different storytelling approaches. For Sydney Sweeney personally, the controversy is unlikely to end her momentum. In fact, history suggests the opposite may occur. Modern celebrity culture often transforms controversy into visibility, and visibility into career expansion. Over the last decade, many performers have emerged from online backlash cycles even more famous than before. Still, increased fame carries emotional costs rarely visible to audiences. Behind every trending hashtag is an actual human being reading headlines, seeing commentary, and experiencing pressure in real time. That human dimension often disappears during internet outrage cycles. Fans argue. Creators monetize reactions. Media companies chase clicks. Algorithms amplify conflict. But celebrities themselves live in